Good afternoon. Good afternoon. All right. All the previous and current educators in the room will appreciate that. So excellent. All right. I am Dr. Marie Peoples, City Manager of Webster Groves. I am so excited to be with you this afternoon. It is our pleasure to invite you all here, and it is our honor to welcome the National League of Cities as they are recognized for 100 years of service. What a landmark recognition. So, and as we understand it, to recognize their 100 years of service, they are doing a roadshow and going through 100 cities across the U.S. So we are really proud to be the 89th city, hence the 8 and 9. So as we get started today, we're going to showcase our history, so to speak. We're going to talk about our strides towards racial justice and, quite simply, just doing the right thing. So with that,
I get my own. It's so exciting. Thank you all again. I just want to echo the congratulations to the NLC. And I really am grateful. You know, we're a pretty new member. I think this is our 3rd or 4th year of membership. And so that makes your visit even more special. And if we have time later, I will share with those of you who are here all the ways we benefit from that membership, because it is a quite extensive list of things that we have been allowed to do and learn because of our partnership with you all. So thank you so much for being here. I will try really hard not to blame you for bringing the day-long bit of rain. I don't know whether you came from, Houston or anywhere near there or not, but even though we're inside, we're really happy to share what we're working on with you, and it gives us an opportunity to share with our community as well. And I wanted to go through all sort of the highlights of Webster Groves with you. We would have shown you some things driving around. But let me just say a couple things before I introduce Mr. Gordon here, and we talk about that. One of the things that our town's motto, or part of our mission statement, used to be, we are a traditional but progressive community. Never could figure out exactly what that means, but I think when you hear that, you sort of get the idea. We are a town of great history, which we like to recognize, but we also like to spend a lot of time thinking about the future. And I am very happy to say our council right now is really very focused on the future. We are a city of the arts for our town of 24,000 or so people. We have the local, hello, please join us. Hi.
Janice Lasandu.
Hello. Yes, thank you. Please sit down. We're gonna get right to that. City of the Arts, as well as a great restaurant destination. So next time you're in town, dinner's on me. I'll take you to a good place. So that means you got to come back. We also, one of the things that I like to think about a lot is, the average, the bookstores in the United States, there's one bookstore for about every 56,000 people. In Webster Groves, we have 4 for 24,000 people. We like, part of that I think I'm going to credit our school district for, because we also have a great school district. So I won't continue, but what I will say this is, one of the things, in addition to all the great things about Webster Groves, we have some of the same challenges of every city in the United States, whether that's infrastructure and its aging infrastructure, or problems that come with that aging, whether it's dealing with climate change and the effects, rain, flooding, and so forth, that really is changing the composition of our city in many ways. It is also the way people talk about politics, even at the local level now, is not necessarily something that a lot want to engage in. And one of the problems that we have, that every city has, is thinking about how do we deal with both the current issues of race and equity in our city and what has happened to us in our past. And so it's really good for us, I think, to use this opportunity to once again talk about our history a little bit, but also then talk about what we're doing looking forward. And I'm very happy to have members of the Gordon family with us to talk about Mr. Gordon. We sort of focused a little bit on the pool, but there's so much more to talk about in terms of the Benny Gordon subdivision, as well as the pool and simply the company that he ran and the way it influenced all of the North Webster business community. But we'll talk a little bit about that. And one of the things I wanted to share with you all and with Mr. Ivory Crockett, who is our other guest, who's sitting in the back right now, but we're going to get him back up here to the front at some point, is some of the things we've actually also been working on. I mean, part of it is acknowledging our mistakes in the past, and also that means taking some action. And so there are a few things recently we've been working on, and one is we have a history of having racial covenants on our deeds here in Webster Groves. We have lots of houses that right now still on those deeds say you can't sell to a Black person, a Jewish person. We know they don't have the force of law, but we also know that that is a symbol of who we once were. And so we've been working on helping homeowners get rid of those racial deeds to make a conscious statement. We want to be a more inclusive community. We want you to feel more welcome. One of the other things we've done, and this is pool related in the last few years, is it used to be that if you came to the Webster pool, you had to be a Webster Groves resident, or you had to have a Webster Groves resident sponsor you. That meant a lot of kids who are part of the Webster Groves School District, who live in communities with a larger Black population than Webster Groves, were excluded from our swimming pool, unless they came with someone who lived here. Now if you want to come to the Webster Groves pool, you can come to the Webster Groves pool. We're still going to charge you. You're not coming for free, but you do have access to that pool as well. And one step further is the city's partnered with Webster Rock Hill Ministries and the school district to extend that with something called the Freestyle Swim Pass. So kids in our school district who maybe can't afford to go to the pool can pick up swim passes from Webster Rock Hill Ministries or from the school district, so they get free admission to the pool. So we want that to be something that is a community asset and not something that is somehow exclusionary within Webster Groves. So that brings us back to the history of the pool in Webster, and that's a starting or a jumping off point for us with the Gordon family. I've forgotten something.
I forgot something.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm about to give it back to you then. How about this? Let me finish my one thought here, and that is, we talk about this in the context of the pool, and that is really underestimating and devaluing the actual impact of the debate about the pool had on our entire city government. We changed who we were as a government when Mr. Gordon went and challenged exclusion from our pool. And I think we're better for it in the long run. So once again, I'd like to say thank you for you both being here. I'm going to let Dr. Peoples insert what she wants to, and then I think she's going to start our roundtable off here.
Thank you, Mayor Arnold. I wanted to introduce the other council persons in the room, as well as Representative Joe Dahl. Thank you so much for being here with us today. And so our council persons are policymakers who have helped make many of these changes over the years. So we have Councilperson David Franklin, Councilperson Jamie Hassmeyer, Councilperson Pam Bliss, and very importantly, former councilperson Sarah Richards. So with that, as we start our journey through history, I think the mayor summarized it very well. We did change our form of government, and your family was very instrumental in many of the things that happened, which are often talked about in terms of the pool. So I think I'm just going to start with a pretty broad question. I've had the opportunity of speaking with you several times, Mr. Gordon, but if you would share some of your earliest memories of what that time frame was like and how your father was involved.
Thank you. It is definitely an honor to be here among all the nice people of Webster Groves. It's quite interesting. Even though my dad was going through a lot of the social injustices, he still instilled upon us the concept of belief in God and belief that right will prevail. And justice is what he stood for. He believed very strongly that there are a lot of good people in the world. Just because some things happen, don't lose faith, don't lose your integrity, stay steadfast for the cause, and justice will prevail. Now, I'm the youngest of four children, so I'm like 10 years younger than my sibling. Well, I don't, sorry about that. But anyway, this is my older sister, my only sister, Janice, and we were very privileged to have parents that were stilled and believed in the Lord. God was a strong force in our family and our family structure. My dad felt that he could fight for his country, could come home where his parents, my mother's parents lived here in Webster, my father's parents lived here in Webster. And we felt vested here in Webster Groves. But he went to the Korean conflict and fought for this country. He went to World War II and fought for this country. But he come back home, he couldn't go swimming in his own pool. Well, he paid taxes. And he thought, now, wait a minute, this isn't right. You know, I've been treated, and he would jokingly say, oh, when I was in France, those French people were so nice. The women say bonjour, bonjour, and all that, you know. And he would really think that, man, you know, they treat me so well, not just because of the color of my skin, but the content of my character. And he felt that we should all continue to believe strongly in the fact that justice will prevail. So some of the problems here in the community in Webster Groves, they were prevalent throughout the country, and this was one small step that he felt was necessary for his family and for all of us that were to follow in his footsteps. And I'm sure he's looking down thinking, my God, you know, that they're really acknowledge and remember all the things that we have done, that he's done. And you know, people were being hung, you know, you know, there's several marches, dogs, you know, set on them and been washed with fire hoses and that kind of stuff. In fact, even he would talk about the volunteer firefighters because we lived in North Webster. You know, there was North Webster and South Webster. Okay, and there was like the tracks. You don't go to the other side of the track, and you can't be caught over there. You could play football. You could play with some of the sports, but you can't be caught with none of those girls or none of those people, and you can't go to the store up there unless they let you go in. And oh man, I was born in '61, so some of those things were still happening, but it wasn't quite as it was a little more subtle. But he believed very strongly that he should do something to correct this and at all costs. And he took a stance about the pool. And I remember him talking about those people saying that, yeah, they're going to let us swim 3 days out the 2 days, 2 or 3 days out the week. And then the white people can swim the other days, 4 days, or I think it was, we had 2 days, they had 3 days, and 2 days they needed to take to clean the pool because after the black people swam, then obviously the pool had to be cleaned. So it was that kind of concept that was very, 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 very prevalent. And the thing that was so amazing was that my grandmothers were domestics. And I don't know if you're familiar with those, but those are people that work to take care of the white people in the other side of town. I mean, we lived here to be support services. They were that take care of the kids, iron the clothes. My grandmother, that's why my dad always had ironed, my mom ironed his underwear. I go, ironed his underwear? What are you doing? That's what they did, but that's what they did because he said, well, if I'm ironing for Mr. Snooks, I'm going to iron for my family as well. And so some of the people that right now have very, very large, like the Don Snooks, the Snooks family, were one of the families that my parents, my grandmother, I should say, was caretaker for, and now they have one of the largest chains of grocery stores in the country, you know, or definitely in the Midwest. And she's like, you know, I fed those kids. I know those kids. And when she passed, they sent a nice bouquet of flowers and everything. They acknowledge those things, but it's just really amazing how time has changed throughout the years, but yet the same illnesses still exist in our communities. And it's like we don't want to acknowledge it. We just want to forget about it. You know, take it out the books. Don't let's stop talking about what happened back then because we don't like what we did to those people. Well, unfortunately, you know, it builds. It's like a building block the way I look at it. And the foundation's shaky and it's gonna tumble. And so some of the disparities and the social illnesses that we have in our communities with, you know, the lack of the man, the black men having opportunities to make money because these things, you know, stopped. They stopped a lot of progress. You know, you have to have social equity equally to stabilize your communities. And then, you know, people feel vested. They don't want to hang out at 11:30, 12:30 at night. They want to get ready for work in the morning because they're making $45 an hour like their counterparts, their friends, the white guys are making the money or the white women or whatever, you know. So that kind of thing has really become an illness, I think, for the whole country. But I really want to commend the city of Webster. Oh my God, I'm so honored to be here to know that people are really conscious of these illnesses, that things that have happened, and they want to talk about it. They want to do something about it. They don't want to just accept it as, oh, well, that was then, you know, good luck. You guys do what you do. But no, you know, it's a equitable position that the city's taken to acknowledge. You know, they could have talked about a lot of things. There's a lot of great things in the city of Webster that they could have focused on with the organization. Instead, they thought they want to focus on equitable, the disparities and the things that have been illnesses to show that they're conscious. And this is a great place to be. But I could go on, but I want to pass it to my sister. And I just want to thank you. I want to let you know that through it all, we've learned to trust in Jesus. And even though, you know, there was a lot of problems throughout that, you know, God still is in the mix of this stuff. And because of that, we're here today and things are looking up. And I'm very optimistic. So I'm just honored to be here and thank you. But I want to pass it to my sister. She's a lot more knowledgeable because I was just a little boy. And she was she was a grown teenager.
Good afternoon. This is really, it's very refreshing. A friend closer to my mouth. It's really very refreshing to come and take time to reflect on how far we've come. My dad was really awesome, but much of what he accomplished, he did not accomplish without the support of his community. He had many people. We were enveloped by a community of people who ushered in this new wave of thought. His vision, it was a shared vision, okay? But you know, Dad, he was forging ahead. But we acknowledge people like Mr. and Mrs. Crockett, Ivory's uh, uncle and aunt. Ivory, can you still get through that window? Huh? We lived very close, and when my brother Marvin felt that he needed to run away, he crawled through the window and go to Mrs. Crockett's house. And when Ivory felt that he was wrong, he'd come back over the other side. And we acknowledge people like Frank Witt and Danny Witt and Mr. and Mrs. I have some timers. Mr. and Mrs. The Schaefers, the halls. Uh, Mr. McKinley Johnson, I see Don sitting back there for the Statesman lettered in football, University of Missouri. Our families have been very close. Uh, Lee Moss is not here. He's, I think, in Texas, but it's in his barber shop that he was able to really promote a lot of political progress. You sit down in the barber shop and you discuss everything. And that was the forum. And if you heard it there, you couldn't believe it. And that's where you were inspired to go forward. We remember Mr. Benny Catlin, and there were so many. There were so many people. As I said, I have some timers, and this is one time that the names are not with me. But, you know, certainly my dad was indeed an inspiration to me and to my brothers. My mother was steadfast. She was the anchor as well. And he had the vision. She was a practical person, and she'd say, now look, these people start burning crosses. I'm not sure I can do all this nonviolent stuff, okay? And, but she promoted and supported him in all that he did. We've come a long way. I can remember when there was a toll house up here, and that was the focus of a lot of the open the that's my brother. He's real. He's used to finishing sentences for me. I don't know whether I don't think he brought his. This is Benny the third rather, the third.
It's good to see you. Of course, you're verbose as usual.
Not always.
Jackie, how you doing?
Great to see you.
Well,
Come on.
and we remember Percy Green. I'm trying to remember those who supported the effort to merge the communities, the north and the south communities of the city of Webster Groves. And we don't want to leave any of those people out because they played an important role, as you well know.
Well, I'm a little older than she is.
He's much older.
So to me, it's a celebration of a city that eliminated its racism and allowed diversity in education. And because of that, my sister, my brother, me, and some of those who recognize that we can strive for success and from a community that alleviated its racism enough to at least put it on the children. I watched my father lose a subdivision, first of its kind, Black man, real estate broker, because of racism. And that's generational wealth. So to recognize the people, the mayor that marched in the King celebration every year, from here, at least 5 miles, because she wanted to demonstrate appreciation for diversity, which was the success of this community. All of you are here because your children have a good place to go to school, one of the highest in the country, ratings. We have our first Black city manager.
Amen.
That's because of the blood and sweat of my father's generation. They got rid of the racist attitudes in 1952. Pop couldn't go swim, could he? We stood in the hot sun at the public municipal swimming pool in July, sweating like a pig. My pop had me by the hand. All the white kids in the swimming pool, looking at the fence, looking at us, because the whole community, we used to be a Black community. It's not anymore, but it was there. And we stood there for 6 hours while the white folks decided on what to do about these Black folks who want to contaminate the swimming pool by swimming in 90-degree weather. Because we didn't have no air conditioning, did we? We had fans and open windows, but it was a hot day. Pop said, this is the day. Him and Danny Witt, Irma Calvin, all these Black folks who had sense enough as homeowners to exact equality. Y'all can swim, we can swim. It took a court order. And this city changed everything to your credit, because we were the first class that desegregated the high school. And they desegregated the elementary schools thereafter. And that's where the success lies. And I'm so happy that you people recognize that this city is deserving of that, because I watched them give up their racist mentality. Right.
Mayor Arnold?
I think that was the mic drop.
I think at this time, shall we turn it over to our NLC folks? Okay.
Hello, everyone. My name is Shantae Byers. I am the Senior Executive and Director for Member and Partner Engagement at the National League of Cities. That is a super long title. You can blame my CEO. I don't know why he made that title so long, but he did. What it really means is I have the privilege and the honor of being able to work with our member cities, our corporate partners, and all the things. And so, as Dr. Peoples said earlier, it is our 100th year anniversary. And so we are really diving deeper into trying to say, how do we get outside of our DC bubble in a sense and get into the communities with our members to be able to listen, to be able to learn, to be able to connect, and to also be able to bring that spirit back to NLC back in Washington, DC. For those of you that do not know, the National League of Cities is the largest and oldest association for local government in the country. So you'll find no one else like us, right? And so we are honored to be able to have that title. And we know that we can only have that title because of folks like your mayor, because of the city of Webster, because of the council members that are all working here and the city staff. And so we are just privileged to be able to get on this RV and crisscross the country in order to be able to spend time with each and every one of you. I'll also just take a quick moment of transparency to say I am tired, y'all. And so, so we have visited a whole lot of cities. We started really on this RV piece at around May, and we have been going from state to state to state. We average about 4 to 5 cities per day. And so we only had 2 cities today, right? But by the time we got here with the rain, we were on the bus. I was like, Brian, I'm tired. Now, I don't know how we're going to get this done. And then we came in here and we had the opportunity to not only meet your city manager, but to meet your mayor and to have a brief conversation, but then to be able to sit here with this amazing family and to learn about the history of Webster. And suddenly I feel like we can go a few more hours. You know, there's so much more that we want to be able to learn and to hear and to be able to take back. So I want to say thank you all for your story, for the legacy of your parents, to all of the families that you named and what they meant, you know. And I can tell that your brother is way older than you. So I just wanted you to know that. I saw it. But hearing that story, you know, and to be able to hear the words that a city gave up their racist mentality was extremely powerful for us. At the National League of Cities, I know the mayor knows we have an organization or a department within our organization called Race, Equity, and Leadership, right? We started that about around the time that Michael Brown was murdered in Ferguson, Missouri. And we got a phone call from that mayor saying we need help, and we didn't have any resources at that time. And our CEO made the decision that we would never have that happen again. But to be able to be there during that time, you know, within our country, and then to be able to sit and listen, you know, to the residents of your city and to hear your mayor talk about the importance of racial equity and justice. It's a testament to the power of the city of Webster and the fact that you all are an example that I think our country could model right now, right? I know that it wasn't easy, you know, just from listening to the story. And I know that you still have other hurdles that you're still working through. At NLC, the National League of Cities, we say that we are on a journey. We recognize that we are consistently learning from each other, growing from each other. We need each other in order to build a more perfect union, you know, as the Constitution says. But I think that the city of Webster is definitely a prime example of what can happen when folks from both sides, the north side and the south side, say they were going to put our hands together, you know, versus making a fist and fighting each other. And so I hope that you all are proud of that, because I am definitely touched and moved. I'm looking at Brian because I would love for us to make sure that we get you all on our CEO's podcast to talk about your story and to hopefully be able to lift that from a national perspective, because that story of love and community and hope is absolutely something that we need right now. And so I'm now energized. I'm going to be honest, I'm not even sure why I'm up here. I just got the mic. And so I'm not sure. Okay. But thank you all for sure.
I just wanted to say, yes, Paul. I just wanted to say thank you for those kind words and also for the recognition that we can't talk about this in the past tense, right? This is a journey we are on as a community and we need to continue to be on. And these are, the word battles comes to mind because that's some of what it is. But, you know, in order for us to be the community that we aspire to, we've got to continue this, even in the face of sometimes changing pressures right now, to think about equity a little less. And I just know that this council and certainly our city staff is committed to keeping on with this. That's the direction we've chosen to go, and we're going to keep on that path.
Absolutely.
Yes. And now I have I have the distinct process. There's a chair right here for you. There's a chair right here for you, Mr. No, not looking behind you, Mr. Crockett. So I have the distinct pleasure of bringing up for our program right now, Mr. Ivory Crockett. What? Oh, come on. And his granddaughter too, apparently, is joining us. And we'll even put the microphone in your hands. So we are so pleased to have you here. For those of you who don't know, this is the only world record holder I know. And this is the only man I know who I believe will live his entire adult life as a world record holder, right? So he is the world record holder in the 100-yard dash. The world went to meters, and thankfully for him, they did, because you get to hold on to that, right?
Thank you.
I think more importantly for us as a community of Webster Groves, what Mr. Crockett represents is a willingness to take his success and share it with communities that influenced him. And I told him before, and I'm going to just repeat it for all of you, so excuse me for repeating this. My first introduction, I went to school here. I grew up here. I didn't know who Ivory Crockett was. My first introduction to Ivory Crockett was when my son was a kindergartner and decided he wanted to run. And so he ran in the Ivory Crockett Run for Webster. That was his first race. From that day on and through his graduation in high school, he spent every day, some portion of every day running, and that kept him out of trouble, and that kept him focused on school, and it kept his body healthy. And for you, Mr. Crockett, I'm going to give at least part of the credit for that. So thank you. Now, as some of you know, our stop was to be, the second stop was to be at the Ivory Crockett Park, named obviously for Mr. Crockett, which is part of the North Webster community here in Webster Groves. One of the things that we wanted to do is show you that park, but also we have big plans for that park thanks to our recent bond issue. And I don't know, are you prepared to talk about that? Do you want to talk about that just for a minute? Because I also promised Mr. Crockett that we would tell him about those things. So if you wouldn't mind, we'll let Dr. Peoples tell you a little bit about what's going to happen at Ivory Crockett Park to make it an even better place to visit and play.
Thank you, Mayor. You thought you were going to get rid of that microphone, didn't you? Not a chance. So I am proud to say that over the last few years, we've made several investments, thanks to council as well. And Parks and Rec Director Scott Davis is hiding back there as well. But we've intentionally made many investments over the last few years because there hadn't been previous investments to this degree. So we've redone basketball courts, tennis courts, created walking paths, have a new pavilion, barbecue pit structures. But as the mayor stated, we have thanks to the community and residents for voting for the passage of our bond, we'll be doing even more in Ivory Crockett Park. And we're really excited that hopefully, I believe it's scheduled for either FY26 or 27, that we will have a large splash pad there. And so in many ways, that is in deference to the lack of a pool, but it also puts resources equitably across the community. So we're really excited to plan that splash pad. And I don't know what it's going to look like yet, but it's not going to be any ordinary splash pad. So Ivory Crockett Park is going to become the destination spot of parks.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank the Garden family. For you didn't know, Mr. Garden, Benny Garden, Marvin, the other one wasn't here, and Janet put the whole proposal together, had this huge Ivory Crockett dinner for me at the Hilton Airport. I owe them everything and all the people that they put together because it was a lot of work, but it came off. I got the name Ivory Crockett's Park, and I really appreciate it. But most of all, I want to thank that family, not only for me, just a few things that Benny named, but they have done a lot for this community. It came a long ways, and I'm glad to see that. And it wasn't from the Gardens and other people that lived in this community, white and black, that made the city better. So we are a great city, and we're going to continue to be a great city because we're going to continue to bring great people to this city. And with your help, I just want to thank you for recognizing us for being one of those 100 the great cities in the United States. And we're going next time you come back, we're going to do even things better. Thank you.
Mr. Crockett, Mr. Crockett, Mr. Crockett. You cannot go quite yet. And Mayor, how about you do the honors? Mr. Crockett and Mr. Gordon, Miss Gordon, come on back up. We've got some gifts for you on behalf of the
We
city.
cannot let you go without bestowing some gifts on you because as
Come on, yes, everybody.
okay, so
Yeah.
here, you
Let us
stand next
honor
to your
you.
grandfather there. Wait, I promised you the microphone. Do you have anything to say?
Okay, thank
No, you sure? What's your name? Hi, Jayla. Nice to meet you. Well, you and I are on the wrong sides we'll do one at a time. So first, so for those of you who don't know, we've made mention a couple times of the Benny Gordon subdivision, which is a subdivision that was planned, approved initially by the city of Webster Groves, and then those plans were destroyed by neighbors who pressured a bank to pull all the funding from the bank. And then the city reversed course and really changed what the use of that area would be, so it would be non-residential. So it is really one of our failures as a community because it would have been a first-rate, one-of-its-kind subdivision for Black families of middle income. And so one of the things, and he is here, Reverend David Danoon has done a lot of historical work and helped us as a city Yeah. Has has helped us as a city learn more about that period and what happened. And we did designate, there's one house from the planned subdivision that exists. It's now a historical marker in town. Ms. Gail Jones, who's the owner. And one of the things we have for you here is a framed kind of print of the original plans for the Benny Gordon subdivision. And so we hope you'll find a great place for that somewhere. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you. I know it doesn't. It really is literally the least we can do, right? Yes, sir.
Only one bad thing. I got to admit this. Janet's garden used to beat me to death running when I was. I said, what the heck? I didn't, Janet Garden was faster than me.
Okay, that relates directly to your gift because that's who you must be looking behind you for. So we also would like to thank you for being here, Mr. Crockett, and give you this picture that we have. And I hope you'll find a great place for it. And thank you for coming. And we're happy to have you here as well.
So if you're wondering what's in the bags, because we were supposed to be at the pool for
You
part
want me
of
to hold
this,
that
we
one?
have
Open your
beach
bag and
towels.
see what's in your bag.
In lieu of a pool.
In lieu of a pool. Again, it's literally the least we can do.
Well, believe me, we'll invite you all back for the opening of the splash pad and make sure you have your towels ready then. That's right. We'll see how fast you can make it through. No drops of water.
Dad was able to join, who joined with my dad
He
in
did.
helping to bring commemoration to him locally.
Good.
Because no one mentioned Ivory, we call him term of
It's okay.
endearment. And I think he, his son knows that, but I like to acknowledge all those that.
Thank you, Janet, and the whole family. Thank you. Okay.
Right. All right. Yeah, yep, I'm coming over to get it. Just had to check my list to make sure I had it correctly. All right, we have one more very official thing to do here. I don't know if you noticed out on the city marquee. Yes, please come right up here for us. On the city marquee, it says today in Webster Groves is National League of Cities 100th anniversary day. Yes, so everyone in our community who drives by will know. And we have prepared a proclamation for you. I am not going to read the proclamation because you've probably heard 88 of those so far. What I will do instead, if you don't mind, probably you know a lot of this already, but the people with us don't necessarily know, is talk a little bit about how we've benefited from the National League of Cities. Because we, as I said, we're sort of young members in that process. But we already as a community have had a great benefit to that membership. Everything from, I think we're on our third cycle in the City Inclusive Entrepreneurship Program. So everything from including greater diversity on our boards and commissions to small grants for minority women business owners, as well as some work we're doing with our business community and some mapping apps. We've done the local infrastructure hub once, $2.4 million in a grant, and that's a demonstration grant, which could lead to even more for an implementation grant. And we're working through that process again. Three of us, my colleague Pam Bliss there and I, and then Emerson Smith, who was unable to join us, were at the Congressional Cities Conference. Learned a whole lot about a lot of things. But one of the most important things to me is it gave us the opportunity to do some lobbying on behalf of rail safety and holding the railroads a little bit accountable for some of the things that they really need to do in terms of maintenance. We've also done lots of education. I've done 6 webinars so far. I think most of the council has done some of that, as well as learned educationally about programs that are available at the federal level about what's going on in the Supreme Court that might influence us, including how we use social media. And the list can go on and on. So a lot of that's in the proclamation, but I think it's important that everybody here knows that the National League of Cities, you sort of talked a little bit about what you do. The translation into what it means for our actual residents is really important for me to highlight. And that's really why I wanted to go through this list. So I will give you the proclamation and read the declaratory part. So now therefore I declare, let's see where, let me start at the right place. Hereby thanks the National League of Cities for its invaluable work on behalf of all cities and proclaims July 9th, 2024 as NLC 100th Anniversary Day in the city of Webster Groves in celebration of the National League of Cities' historic centennial anniversary. There you go.
Here and I see Brian. There you go. Thank you all so much. We are actually taking all of our proclamations back to our organization and we'll be hanging them in our headquarters in DC. To be able to hear you say those words about the impact that NLC has had, we are truly grateful. And we wouldn't be here without you, without your council members, without your city staff. We gained so much just from being here. And again, you guys kind of energized me a bit. So I greatly appreciate it. But we did not want to come and just take from you all. We don't want to take your amazing stories, the history, you know, the spirit of Webster. We want to make sure that we leave something with you as well. So on behalf of the National League of Cities, yes, please. And city staff as well.
Yeah, and staff as well. Come on, Bridget. Who else is holding back here? Oh, the city manager. Well.
So on behalf of the National League of Cities, we have had a commission piece that we are giving to all of our roadshow cities. When you look at this, hopefully you see a representation of the country, and this is a reflection of who we are as an organization. So you'll see large cities, small cities, suburban cities, rural cities, mid-sized cities, all represented here. You also see our little roadshow bus in the corner, but we did not want to come here and not leave you all with a token of appreciation just to say thank you. And so we would hope that you would hang this within your city hall. And so on behalf of the National League of Cities, our CEO, Mr. Clarence Anthony, our president, Mayor David Sander of Rancho Cordova, we would be honored if you all would accept this gift on behalf of all of them. So thank you.
Thank you. And we will hang it definitely. We can share a picture with anybody.
Perfect. And listen, I know I said we wanted to give you something. We also do want to take something else back outside of the amazing spirit. So we have a mural here that we would love for you to sign, Mayor, for your council to sign, for all of city staff to sign as well. We will be taking this back to our headquarters in DC. We'll be hanging it within our office, and it's a piece of all of you that we want to make sure that we can carry with us as well. And so I know you have a former council member in the room, so we would love for her to sign as well, as you guys are all a part of helping the city to continue to grow. So thank you. And everyone. So council, staff, mayor, we'll love your John Hancock right here. So thank you.